Welcome back to the stone that made kings kneel, empires rise, and men lose their minds. A single rock. Cold. Silent. Buried deep beneath the earth for billions of years. Yet somehow, powerful enough to control human obsession. Because this is not just a gemstone. This is diamond. The most desired stone on the planet. The symbol of wealth. Of love. Of power. Of perfection. But here's the terrifying truth. Diamonds were born in violence. Over 100 miles beneath the Earth's surface, under unimaginable pressure and temperatures hotter than lava, pure carbon was crushed for billions of years until it transformed into something nearly indestructible. Not made by humans. Not created by machines. Forged by the planet itself. And when volcanic eruptions blasted these stones toward the surface, humanity found them. And everything changed. Ancient civilizations believed diamonds were tears of the gods. Some thought they were fragments of fallen stars. Others believed they held supernatural powers in battle. Warriors carried them into combat. Kings locked them inside royal vaults. Entire kingdoms fought wars to possess them. Because from the very beginning, diamonds were never just beautiful. They were dangerous. And the craziest part? Most people will never see a truly rare diamond in their lifetime. Not the kind worth millions. Not the kind that changes history. Because the rarest diamonds on Earth are so extraordinary, they almost don't look real. Blue diamonds. Pink diamonds. Blood red diamonds so rare that only a handful exist on the entire planet. Some are worth more than private jets. More than mansions. More than entire companies. One flawless diamond can sell for over $50 million in a single night. Just imagine that. A tiny stone, smaller than a cookie, worth more than a lifetime of money. But diamonds didn't become legendary because of price alone. They became legendary because humans attached emotion to them. Love. Status. Victory. Power. For decades, the world was taught one message. A diamond is forever. And suddenly, this stone became the ultimate symbol of commitment. A ring. A promise. A dream. People saved money for years just to buy one. And honestly, that's the genius of diamonds. They don't just shine. They make people feel something. That flash of light when a diamond catches the sun. It's hypnotic. Almost unreal. Because diamonds bend light in a way few materials on Earth can. That fire. That sparkle. That explosion of brilliance. It's like holding frozen lightning in your hand. And no matter how many luxury trends come and go, diamonds survive them all. Gold rises. Gold falls. Currencies collapse. Markets crash. But diamonds, they remain symbols of permanence. And yet, behind the glamour, lies a much darker story. Because the diamond industry has witnessed greed on a level most people cannot imagine. There were mines where workers risked their lives every single day. Regions destroyed by violence. Smugglers transporting stones across borders like hidden treasure. Some diamonds became known as blood diamonds. Tiny stones linked to war, suffering, and death. A horrifying reminder that beauty can sometimes hide brutal truths. And that contradiction is what makes diamonds so fascinating. They represent love. Yet they've also fueled conflict. They symbolize purity. Yet the industry surrounding them has often been anything but pure. Still, humanity cannot look away. Because diamonds trigger something primal in us. Maybe it's the rarity. Maybe it's the sparkle. Or maybe it's because diamonds represent survival itself. Think about it. These stones endured crushing pressure for billions of years. Most things break under pressure. Diamonds become stronger. And maybe that's why people connect with them emotionally. They see resilience, strength, transformation. The idea that pain can create something extraordinary. And when you look at history, diamonds have touched nearly every powerful civilization on Earth. From the royal crowns of Europe, to the treasures of India, to Hollywood celebrities walking red carpets dripping in millions of dollars of stones. Diamonds became the universal language of luxury. And then came the super diamonds. The legendary stones with names that sound almost mythical. The Hope Diamond. Deep blue. Cursed. Terrifyingly beautiful. People believed it brought misfortune to every owner. Deaths. Madness. Disasters. Yet even knowing the legends, people still wanted it. Because humans are drawn to things they fear. Then there's the pink star diamond. A stone so rare and vivid, it sold for over $70 million. $70 million for one diamond. That's the level we are talking about. And scientists still don't fully understand why some diamonds become pink, blue, or green. Nature keeps secrets. That mystery only makes them more valuable. But here's where things become even crazier. Today, humans can create diamonds in laboratories. Real diamonds. Not fake glass. Not cheap imitations. Actual diamonds. Built atom by atom. And visually? Most people can't even tell the difference. That changed everything. Suddenly, the question became uncomfortable. If a lab diamond looks identical, has the same chemical structure, and sparkles the same way, then what are people truly paying for? The stone? Or the story behind it? Because natural diamonds carry something labs cannot replicate. Time. Billions of years trapped inside a crystal. A piece of Earth's ancient history resting on your finger. That emotional weight still matters. And for collectors, rarity will always win. Especially when we talk about flawless diamonds. These are stones without visible imperfections. Perfect under magnification. Pure. Almost impossible. Finding one is like discovering treasure hidden inside the planet itself. That's why elite collectors hunt diamonds the way billionaires hunt masterpieces. Not just as jewelry. As legacy. As status. As symbols of power that outlive generations. And the future of diamonds? It may become even more unbelievable. Scientists are now exploring diamonds for advanced technology. Supercomputers. Quantum systems. Medical tools. Because diamonds are not only beautiful, they are one of the hardest natural materials ever discovered. They can survive environments that destroy almost everything else. So the same stone once worn by ancient kings may help power future technology. That's insane. A gemstone born before dinosaurs existed, becoming part of humanity's future. And somehow, after all these centuries, diamonds still hold the same psychological power over us. Walk into a jewelry store. Watch people stare into the glass displays. Their eyes lock onto the sparkle instantly. Not because they need diamonds. Because they desire them. That desire crosses every culture. Every language. Every generation. And maybe that's the true magic of diamonds. Not the price. Not the fame. Not even the rarity. It's the fact that a tiny stone can make humans dream bigger than reality. A symbol that says, you made it. You survived. You achieved something extraordinary. And whether diamonds are buried deep underground, displayed in museums, locked in billionaire vaults, or resting quietly inside a wedding ring, they continue to do what they've always done. Capture human imagination. Forever. Because long after trends disappear, long after luxury brands fade, long after entire civilizations become dust, diamonds will still exist. Silent. Unbreakable. Timeless. Waiting beneath the earth. Like they always have. Welcome back to the stone that once started wars, destroyed kingdoms, and obsessed emperors so deeply, they believed it held the power of immortality. This is not just a gemstone. This is ruby. A stone born in fire. A crystal soaked in myth, blood, greed, and desire. For thousands of years, humans have crossed deserts, betrayed families, and emptied entire fortunes for a single glowing red spark buried beneath the earth. And the terrifying part? Some rubies are now worth more than diamonds. Much more. But what makes this blood-red stone so dangerously valuable? Why did ancient warriors sew rubies into their skin before battle? And how did one tiny gemstone become one of the most hunted treasures on Earth? Because hidden inside every ruby is a story most people have never heard. Deep beneath brutal mountains and ancient volcanic pressure, something impossible begins to happen. Minerals collide. Heat rises beyond imagination. Time itself becomes part of the process. And after millions of years, a ruby is born. Not every red stone is a ruby. In fact, the real ones are incredibly rare. The perfect ruby carries a color so intense, experts call it pigeon blood red. a deep glowing crimson that almost looks alive under light. It doesn't sparkle like a diamond. It burns. That's why ancient civilizations feared it. In ancient Burma, now known as Myanmar, warriors believed rubies made them invincible. Legends claimed the stone could protect its owner from death in battle. But simply wearing the gem wasn't enough. Some soldiers took it further. They pushed rubies directly into their flesh. They believed the stone had to become part of the body to unleash its true power. Imagine the obsession. Imagine believing a single gemstone could stop a sword. And honestly, when you look at the greatest rubies ever discovered, you almost understand why. Because some of these stones don't look real. One famous ruby sold for over $30 million at auction. Another became the centerpiece of royal crowns, hidden treasures, and elite collections no ordinary person will ever see. Kings wanted them. Queens wore them. Empires fought over the mines. And behind all that beauty was unimaginable darkness. The world's finest rubies mostly came from a tiny region in Burma called Mogok, a valley so rich in gemstones that people called it the Valley of Rubies. But life there was never glamorous. Miners spent years digging through dangerous tunnels under unbearable heat. Landslides buried workers alive. Entire communities depended on finding just one perfect stone that could change everything overnight. Most never did. Because perfect rubies are brutally rare. Far rarer than diamonds. And that's the part most people don't realize. Diamonds became symbols of luxury because of marketing. But Ruby earned its reputation through scarcity, history, and raw human obsession. A flawless natural ruby larger than a few carats is almost impossible to find. The bigger the ruby, the more insanely valuable it becomes. Especially when the color is perfect. Experts don't just look for red. They look for life inside the stone. A glowing internal fire. A balance between darkness and brightness that creates an almost hypnotic effect. And when they find it, the price becomes absurd. Millions. Sometimes tens of millions. For a rock smaller than a coin. But rubies aren't only valuable because they're beautiful. They carry emotion. Power. Danger. For centuries, ruby became the symbol of passion and authority. Medieval Europeans believed the stone could warn its owner of danger by turning darker. In ancient India, rubies were called the king of precious stones. Not diamonds. Rubies. Some cultures believed they held the energy of the sun itself. Others thought they could heal the heart, increase strength, or reveal hidden truths. And honestly, the stone does have something unsettling about it. When light hits a high-quality ruby, it almost feels alive. Like there's fire trapped inside crystal. But not all rubies are equal. And this is where the story gets even crazier. Today, scientists can create lab-grown rubies almost perfectly identical to natural ones. Chemically, they are nearly the same. Visually, many people can't tell the difference. But collectors still chase the natural stones. Why? Because natural rubies survived millions of years beneath the earth. Every tiny imperfection inside them tells a story of pressure, violence, and time. A lab can copy the look. It can't copy the history. And history is everything in the gemstone world. That's why some legendary rubies became more famous than celebrities. The final price shocked the world. Over $30 million. For one stone. And yet, even that ruby carries controversy. Because behind every major gemstone lies a difficult truth most luxury brands avoid talking about. Mining. Exploitation. Conflict. Some ruby mines became linked to violence, corruption, and black market smuggling. In certain regions, armed groups controlled the trade. Workers risked their lives while wealthy collectors treated the stones like trophies. It's the dark side of beauty. The side hidden behind museum glass and luxury jewelry displays. And maybe that's what makes rubies so fascinating. They represent the best and worst of humanity at the same time. Love. Greed. Power. Desire. Sacrifice. Few objects on Earth can carry all of that in something small enough to fit in your hand. Even today, rubies continue to dominate luxury markets. Celebrities wear them on red carpets. Royal families protect ancient ruby collections worth hundreds of millions. Elite collectors secretly compete for stones the public never even sees. Because owning a perfect ruby isn't just about wealth. It's about status. a statement that says you possess something nature almost never creates. And then there's the science behind the color itself, which somehow makes the ruby even more unbelievable. That famous red glow comes from chromium. Tiny traces of the element replace aluminum atoms inside the crystal structure. Under the right conditions, that creates the legendary crimson fire the world became obsessed with. One microscopic change in chemistry, and suddenly, a stone becomes priceless. Nature is terrifying like that. It creates perfection accidentally, and humans spend centuries trying to own it. But perhaps the most haunting thing about rubies is this. Unlike diamonds, rubies feel personal. A diamond can look cold. A ruby looks emotional. It resembles blood, heartbeats, passion, rage, love, power. It feels human. Maybe that's why people throughout history believed rubies possessed souls. Some thought they could influence destiny itself. Others believed the stone reflected the emotional state of its owner. And strangely, even modern collectors describe certain rubies as having personality. Not brilliance. Not clarity. Personality. That's how deep the obsession goes. A perfect ruby doesn't just shine. It stares back. And somewhere tonight, deep inside the mountains of Myanmar, Mozambique, or Madagascar, miners are still searching through darkness hoping to uncover the next legendary stone. Most will find nothing. But one discovery, one flash of deep crimson beneath the dirt, could create another million-dollar masterpiece the world will obsess over for generations. That's the madness of ruby. A stone created by unimaginable pressure that somehow creates pressure everywhere it goes. Pressure to own it, protect it, steal it, worship it. And through every empire, every war, every fortune, and every legend, the ruby survived. Still burning. Still hypnotizing humanity. Still proving that sometimes the rarest things on earth are not the biggest, but the ones powerful enough to control human desire itself. Because in the end, ruby was never just a gemstone. It was temptation carved into crystal. And humanity fell for it completely. Welcome back to the world of impossible beauty, buried kingdoms, and a gemstone so powerful, entire empires went to war for it. A stone once believed to protect kings from betrayal, poison, and death itself. A stone that looks like a frozen piece of the night sky. This is sapphire. Deep beneath the surface of the earth, under crushing pressure and unimaginable heat, something extraordinary begins to form. Not gold. Not diamonds. Something rarer. Something ancient. Over millions of years, nature creates a crystal so hypnotic that people once believed it carried messages from the gods. And the moment light touches it, everything changes. Sapphire isn't just a gemstone. It's a symbol of power, of mystery, of obsession. For centuries, rulers, warriors, and billionaires have chased this stone like it was magic itself. And honestly, maybe it is. Because sapphire has a strange effect on people. The second you see a perfect one, you understand why civilizations became addicted to it. That deep royal blue. That endless ocean hidden inside a tiny crystal. It doesn't sparkle like a diamond. It burns slower, colder, more dangerous. Like staring into infinity. But here's what most people don't know. Blue sapphires are only the beginning. These stones can appear in pink, yellow, green, purple, orange, even completely colorless. Some are so rare they almost look unreal. And among them all, one variety stands above everything else. The legendary Padparadscha sapphire. A gemstone so rare, even experienced collectors spend their entire lives searching for a perfect one. Its color sits somewhere between a tropical sunset and a lotus flower. Not pink. Not orange. Something in between. Something impossible to describe unless you see it with your own eyes. And when one finally appears on the market, the price can explode into millions. But sapphire's value isn't just about rarity. It's about history. Because this stone has witnessed the rise and fall of kingdoms. Ancient Persian rulers believed the earth rested on a giant sapphire, and that the sky itself was blue because it reflected the stone's color. Medieval kings wore sapphires into battle because they thought the gem could shield them from envy and treachery. Priests used them in sacred rituals. Royals covered their crowns with them. This wasn't jewelry. This was power. And maybe the most famous sapphire in modern history sits inside one ring the entire world instantly recognizes. Princess Diana's engagement ring. A massive blue sapphire surrounded by diamonds. Elegant. Timeless. Iconic. When the ring later passed to Catherine, Princess of Wales, the sapphire became more than a gemstone. It became part of history itself. And suddenly, millions of people around the world became obsessed with sapphires all over again. But behind all the glamour lies a darker story. Because finding a sapphire is brutal. The miners who search for them descend into dangerous pits, unstable tunnels, and muddy rivers in some of the harshest places on Earth. In regions of Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Madagascar, entire communities risk everything for the chance to uncover one extraordinary stone. And most never do. Imagine digging for weeks, months, maybe years, only to find nothing. Then one day, buried inside rough grey rock, a flash of electric blue appears. In that instant, lives can change forever. Some sapphires have sold for prices that sound completely insane. The Bluebell of Asia. One of the most legendary sapphires ever discovered. Massive. Flawless. Almost mythical. When it went to auction, collectors fought over it like treasure hunters chasing the last relic on Earth. The final price? Over $17 million. For one stone. And still, people wanted it. Because sapphire has something diamonds often don't. Personality. Every sapphire feels alive. Some glow with velvety depth. Others shift color under different lighting. And then there are star sapphires. Gemstones that reveal a floating star across their surface when light hits them just right. No special effects. No trick. Just nature doing something so perfect it feels supernatural. That's the terrifying beauty of sapphire. You never fully understand it. Even scientists are still fascinated by it. Sapphire is one of the hardest natural materials on Earth. Second only to diamond. Tough enough to survive conditions that would destroy most gemstones instantly. That's why sapphire isn't only used in luxury jewelry. It's used in advanced technology. Space equipment. Scientific instruments. Luxury watches. Even military applications. Think about that. The same stone worn by ancient kings now helps power the modern world. A gemstone born millions of years ago, still shaping the future. And yet, the rarest sapphires aren't always the biggest. Sometimes, the most valuable stones are tiny. Perfect color. Perfect clarity. Perfect origin. Collectors obsess over details invisible to normal people. A slight change in tone can mean the difference between thousands and millions. Especially when the sapphire comes from Kashmir. Now this is where the story becomes almost unbelievable. In the late 1800s, high in the mountains of Kashmir, miners discovered sapphires unlike anything the world had ever seen. Their color was so rich, so soft, so intensely blue. Experts described it as velvet trapped inside crystal. People went mad for them. Royal families competed to own them. Prices skyrocketed. Demand exploded. Then suddenly, the mines began to disappear. Today, true Kashmir sapphires are among the rarest gemstones on Earth. Some experts may go years without seeing a genuine one. And when they do, the room goes silent. Because everyone knows they're looking at history. But sapphire isn't only about wealth or royalty. For some people, it's emotional. A symbol of loyalty, wisdom, truth. For centuries, people believed sapphire protected the innocent and exposed lies. Some even thought the stone would darken if its owner was unfaithful. Imagine carrying a gemstone believed to reveal betrayal. That kind of mythology doesn't happen by accident. There's something about sapphire that feels almost alive. Maybe it's the color. Maybe it's the history. Or maybe it's because no two sapphires are ever truly the same. Every stone carries tiny fingerprints from the earth itself. Microscopic inclusions. Hidden textures. Internal patterns formed over millions of years. Gemologists study these details like detectives solving ancient mysteries. Because inside every sapphire, there's a story. And some stories are worth fortunes. But here's the craziest part. Even in a world filled with hypercars, private jets, and billion-dollar technology, sapphire still holds power over human emotion. Why? Because deep down, people crave rarity. Not something manufactured. Not something copied. Something ancient. something almost impossible. And sapphire delivers that feeling better than almost any gemstone on earth. When you hold a real sapphire in your hand, you're touching something older than civilization itself, older than empires, older than written history, a tiny fragment of Earth's deepest secrets. And somehow, trapped inside it, is light. That's why sapphire never truly goes out of style. Trends fade. Luxury changes. But sapphire survives. It survived ancient wars. It survived collapsing kingdoms. It survived centuries of obsession. And today, it still stops people in their tracks. One glance. One flash of blue. And suddenly, nothing else matters. Because sapphire doesn't beg for attention. It commands it. Quietly. Coldly. Perfectly. And maybe that's what makes it unforgettable. Not just its beauty, but its presence. The feeling that somewhere inside that glowing blue crystal, the earth left behind one final masterpiece. Welcome back to the world of impossible beauty, ancient power, and a stone so mesmerizing, empires went to war for it. Not gold. Not diamonds. Emeralds. Deep green. Mysterious. Alive. A gemstone so rare, so hypnotic, that kings believed it could reveal the future, and queens became obsessed with owning just one flawless piece. But here's the terrifying truth. Most emeralds are broken, cracked, scarred from the violent chaos that created them deep inside the earth. And the few that survive untouched, they become legends. Tonight, we uncover the unbelievable story of the emerald, the gemstone that conquered civilizations, fueled greed, and became one of the most dangerous treasures on earth. Because emeralds are not just jewels. They are survivors. And every single one hides a secret. Millions of years ago, beneath mountains collapsing under unimaginable pressure, nature performed one of its rarest miracles. Beryllium, chromium, vanadium, 3 elements that almost never meet. But when they do, the earth creates fire in green form. An emerald. Not bright like a diamond. Not flashy like a ruby. Emeralds don't scream for attention. They whisper. And somehow, that whisper became irresistible to humanity. Ancient civilizations were hypnotized by them. The Egyptians believed emeralds symbolized eternal life. The Incas worshipped giant emeralds as sacred gods. And across continents, rulers became obsessed with possessing the deepest green stones they could find. But no one loved emeralds more than one woman. Cleopatra. The Queen of Egypt didn't just wear emeralds. She weaponized them. She covered herself in green gemstones to project power, mystery, and divine beauty. Her royal mind supplied some of the ancient world's most coveted emeralds, and legends say ambassadors left her palace stunned by the hypnotic glow of the jewels surrounding her. Imagine standing in candlelight, watching rich green gems flicker like living flames across gold crowns and silk robes. That wasn't fashion. That was intimidation. Emeralds became symbols of immortality, wisdom, and absolute power. And then the bloodshed began. Because once humanity realized how rare emeralds truly were, greed exploded. Spanish conquistadors invaded South America searching for gold. But what they found instead changed history forever. Hidden deep within Colombia's mountains were emeralds unlike anything the world had ever seen. Darker, richer, more alive. The legendary Colombian emeralds looked almost supernatural, glowing with a velvety green color so intense it barely seemed real. And suddenly, kingdoms, merchants, thieves, and collectors all wanted control. Mines became battlefields. Men died underground chasing stones smaller than a coin. Entire fortunes vanished overnight. And still today, the hunt continues. Because finding a perfect emerald is nearly impossible. Unlike diamonds, emeralds are fragile. Most are filled with fractures and tiny internal scars called inclusions. Experts even nickname these patterns jardins, the French word for gardens, because they resemble moss, roots, and hidden forests trapped inside the stone. And strangely, those flaws make emeralds more beautiful. Every crack tells a story. Every imperfection proves survival. That's what makes flawless emeralds so terrifyingly valuable. One perfect stone can cost millions. Not because it shines brighter than everything else, but because it shouldn't exist at all. And then there's the color. That impossible green. Not too dark. Not too pale. The perfect emerald glows with a rich, vivid depth that feels almost alive. Gem experts spend entire lifetimes chasing that exact shade, and many never find it. Some compare it to the green of untouched jungles after rain. Others say it looks like frozen lightning trapped beneath glass. But everyone agrees on one thing. Once you see a truly extraordinary emerald in person, you never forget it. And the world's richest people know that. Royal families, billionaires, collectors hidden behind private vaults. They all compete for the rarest emeralds ever discovered. Some stones become so famous they gain celebrity status of their own. The Rockefeller Emerald, the Mogul Emerald, the Duke of Devonshire Emerald. Massive green treasures tied to dynasties, wars, and unimaginable wealth. But perhaps the most fascinating part of emeralds is the danger surrounding them. Because behind the beauty lies darkness. Modern emerald mining is brutal. Deep underground tunnels collapse without warning. Workers spend endless hours cutting through unstable rock, gambling their lives for a single stone that might never appear. In certain regions, emerald territories became controlled by violent criminal groups and black market dealers. Smuggling, corruption, and conflict followed wherever valuable emerald deposits were discovered. One tiny green crystal could change someone's life forever, or destroy it. And yet people still chase them. Because emeralds trigger something primal inside the human mind. Maybe it's the color of life itself. Maybe it's the impossible rarity. Or maybe it's because emeralds feel human. They are beautiful because they are imperfect. Even the finest emeralds contain fractures, clouds, fingerprints from the earth itself. A flawless diamond can feel cold. An emerald feels alive. That emotional connection transformed emeralds into icons of romance and luxury. Movie stars wore them on red carpets. Queens passed them through generations. Luxury brands built entire collections around their hypnotic green glow. And then came the auctions. The numbers became insane. Emerald necklaces selling for tens of millions. Single stones breaking world records. Collectors fighting over gems no bigger than a thumbnail. Because rarity creates obsession. And emeralds are among the rarest treasures Earth has ever produced. In fact, high-quality emeralds can be more valuable than diamonds of the same size. Think about that. A green stone most people barely understand, outperforming one of the world's most famous gemstones. That's how extraordinary emeralds really are. But there's another reason people are drawn to them. Mystery. For centuries, people believed emeralds held supernatural powers. Ancient healers claimed they cured disease. Warriors carried them for protection. Some believed emeralds could expose lies and reveal hidden truths. Others thought the stones granted wisdom to whoever possessed them. And honestly, when you stare into a deep emerald long enough, it's easy to understand why people believe those stories. The gem doesn't sparkle like a diamond. It pulls you inward. Like a portal. Like there's something ancient trapped inside it. That emotional intensity is why emeralds survived every era. Empires collapsed. Kings disappeared. Civilizations turned to dust. But emeralds remained. Silent. Watching. Waiting for the next person to become obsessed. And now, in a world dominated by technology and artificial luxury, emeralds feel even more powerful than ever. Because they are real. They were born through chaos over millions of years. No machine can truly recreate that history. No laboratory can perfectly imitate the soul of a natural emerald. Every genuine stone is unique. A fingerprint from the earth itself. And maybe that's why humanity will never stop chasing them. Not for money. Not for status. But for the feeling. The feeling of holding something ancient. Something impossibly rare. Something that survived unimaginable pressure just to exist. An emerald is proof that beauty can emerge from destruction. That scars can become value. That imperfection can become legendary. And honestly, maybe that's why the world became obsessed with them in the first place. Because deep down, emeralds remind us of ourselves. Broken in places. Scarred by pressure. Yet somehow still capable of becoming extraordinary. So the next time you see that deep green glow behind museum glass or wrapped around the neck of royalty, remember this. You're not just looking at a gemstone. You're looking at millions of years of violence, survival, obsession, greed, mystery, and beauty, compressed into a single breathtaking crystal. An emerald isn't just precious. It's immortal. Welcome back. Imagine holding a stone that changes color right before your eyes. Not because of a trick. Not because of technology. But because nature itself decided to create something so rare, so impossible, that even kings once believed it possessed supernatural powers. In daylight, it burns with deep emerald green. Under candlelight, it transforms into a rich blood red. One gemstone. Two completely different souls. And that stone is alexandrite. A gem so rare that for years, people thought it was magic trapped inside crystal. And the craziest part? Most people on Earth will never even see a real one in their entire lifetime. Because alexandrite isn't just expensive. It's legendary. Its story begins deep inside the freezing Ural Mountains of Russia in the 1830s. Miners were searching for emeralds when they uncovered something strange hidden beneath the earth. At first, the crystals looked green in sunlight. But when the stones were brought indoors at night, everything changed. The green vanished. Suddenly, the gem exploded into shades of crimson and red. Imagine the shock. A stone that transformed depending on the light around it. People couldn't explain it. Scientists were confused. Miners were terrified. And royalty became obsessed. The gemstone was eventually named after the future Russian emperor, Alexander II. But this wasn't just a gift to a prince. It became a symbol of power itself. Because the colors of alexandrite matched the military colors of Imperial Russia. Green and red. The empire instantly claimed the stone as its national treasure. And from that moment on, alexandrite became one of the most desired gems on Earth. But here's where the story gets even crazier. Alexandrite is not simply rare. It is brutally rare. Rarer than diamonds. Rarer than sapphires. Rarer than rubies. Some experts say fine alexandrite is among the rarest gemstones ever discovered by humanity. In fact, high-quality natural alexandrite over just 1 carat can sell for more than diamonds of the same size. And the finest stones? They can reach prices that feel absolutely unreal. Tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Even over $1 million for exceptional pieces. All because of one unbelievable phenomenon. Color change. But this isn't a simple shift in shade. Alexandrite performs one of the most dramatic optical transformations ever seen in nature. During the day, sunlight rich in blue and green wavelengths reveals its cool emerald tones. But under warm indoor light or candlelight, the gem suddenly absorbs those colors and reflects intense reds and purples instead. It's like watching two completely different gemstones fighting inside one crystal. Gemologists often call it emerald by day, ruby by night. And honestly, that still doesn't fully capture how surreal it looks in person. Because a true alexandrite doesn't just change color. It transforms mood, personality, emotion. In one moment, it feels calm and royal. In the next, dangerous and alive. That's why ancient collectors became addicted to it. Some believed alexandrite could predict danger. Others believed it carried balance between darkness and light. There were even stories claiming the stone reacted to human emotions. Of course, science doesn't support those myths. But when you actually see a real alexandrite shift colors under changing light, you begin to understand why people once believed it held powers beyond human understanding. And then there's the tragedy. The original Russian mines that produced the world's finest alexandrite eventually became exhausted. The legendary stones that once shocked the world became nearly impossible to find. Prices skyrocketed. Collectors panicked. Luxury jewelers hunted desperately for remaining pieces. And suddenly, alexandrite evolved from a gemstone into a myth. Today, natural Russian alexandrite is considered one of the ultimate prizes in the entire gem world. Museums lock them behind glass. Collectors hide them in vaults. Auction houses battle over them like pieces of lost history. But the story didn't end in Russia. Over time, smaller deposits were discovered in places like Brazil, Sri Lanka, and East Africa. And while some produced stunning gems, many experts still believe the original Russian stones remain unmatched, especially when it comes to the intensity of color change. Because not all alexandrite is equal. Some stones barely shift color at all. Others perform weak transitions that look faded or muddy. But the finest alexandrite? It feels almost impossible. Pure green transforming into vivid red like a living ember. That level of quality is extraordinarily rare. And rarity creates obsession. That obsession is why wealthy collectors spend years searching for a single perfect stone. Not 10 stones. Not a collection. Just one. One flawless alexandrite with exceptional color change can become the centerpiece of an entire fortune. And honestly, the market only keeps getting crazier. As natural supplies disappear, demand keeps exploding. Luxury investors now see rare gemstones as portable wealth. Something timeless. Something protected from economic collapse. And alexandrite sits near the top of that list. Because unlike trends, rarity never dies. But here's something even more fascinating. Alexandrite isn't only valued for beauty or money. It represents contradiction itself. Day and night. Fire and earth. Calm and intensity. Few gemstones feel this alive. Most gems remain static forever. Diamonds sparkle. Rubies glow. Emeralds shine. But alexandrite evolves. It reacts. It surprises. It refuses to stay the same. That unpredictability creates emotional impact most gemstones simply cannot match. And maybe that's why humans are so drawn to it. Because deep down, alexandrite reflects us. People change depending on where they are, who they are with, what they're feeling. Strength in one moment. Vulnerability in another. A different version of ourselves under different light. Alexandrite became nature's reminder that transformation can be beautiful. And that idea made the gem immortal. Hollywood celebrities chase it. Royal families treasure it. Elite collectors compete for it. But despite all the wealth surrounding alexandrite, there's still mystery wrapped around the stone. Even today, seeing a powerful color change alexandrite in person feels unreal. Almost unnatural. Like nature accidentally created something too perfect. And the truth is, very few people ever get that chance. Most alexandrite sold around the world today is synthetic. Lab created. And while some synthetic stones are visually stunning, they don't carry the same history. The same geological miracle. The same emotional weight. Because natural alexandrite took millions of years to form under impossible conditions. Extreme heat. Rare chemical combinations. Massive geological pressure. Nature had to get everything exactly right. One tiny mistake. And alexandrite would never exist. That's what makes it extraordinary. It is one of Earth's rarest accidents. A gemstone born from chaos that somehow emerged as perfection. And maybe that's why its story continues to captivate the world nearly 2 centuries after its discovery. Because alexandrite doesn't just look valuable. It feels impossible. A living contradiction frozen in crystal. A stone that changes identity with the light itself. And in a world filled with artificial things, mass production, and endless copies, alexandrite remains something terrifyingly rare. Something real. Something almost mythical. So the next time someone tells you diamonds are the ultimate luxury, remember this gemstone. The stone that changes from emerald green to blood red. The stone that conquered empires. The stone so rare that entire fortunes chase a single crystal. Alexandrite isn't just a gemstone. It's proof that nature can still create things humanity cannot fully explain. And honestly, that might be the most valuable thing of all.